Welcome to another video in the Access Database application for our business. At this point, we're going to create the actual form for our invoice. Remember, in our last tutorial video, we were creating the tables that were going to go behind this scene. So in this form, we're going to create the place where we put our customers' names and then all the things that they order. So here we are in our database program. We're going to create a form, but we're going to do it a little bit different than we've done the previous forms. I'm going to select our invoice table to start with and choose Create. Look for the button called Form Wizard. Form Wizard is going to allow us to add fields from several different tables. We're going to combine things from our invoice table and our invoice details and our products table. Let's start with the invoice table. This form will show the invoice ID, it will show the date of the sale, and it will also show the customer ID. Next, let's do another check. We're going to select the Invoice Details table. On our form, we want to show the product ID, and we're also going to show the quantity that we're buying. Lastly, let's go to the table called the Products table. We want to show the product name, and we also want to see the retail price. And all of these things come from various tables, and they will all show up on one single form. So this is the magic of Access. It lets you combine several tables into one report. This next screen shows what our invoice form will look like. At the heading, we're going to include the invoice detail, the date, and the customer information. In the subform, or the small detail area, we're going to include all the things for each line item. Let's click Next. There's two different ways to show your subform. I prefer the data sheet view. And then finally, let's click the Finish button. We get to have a customer create a purchase item. So I'm going to click Brand New down here, Blank Record. This is like if somebody comes up to the cashier and says, hey, I'd like to buy a bunch of stuff. First thing we're going to do is select maybe the customer name. So let's see. Cherry Pits is our first customer. The date of sale. Let's pick a date. Today is the 25th. Now, what is she going to buy? Well, she's going to purchase a product, so let's pick one from the list. She's going to buy an iPad. How many does she need? Well, let's put in quantity. Let's put in 3. Now, we would expect to see that over here we would have, well, we have the retail price, but the subtotal. So this form isn't quite finished. We need to add some more things to it. So let's go and save this. And then let's go into the design view. We haven't seen the design view yet, but let's take a look at what it can do. We're going to move some things around so that way we can see them better. So for our invoice details, I'm going to click right on the little gray dot in the corner and move it over to the side here. And let's stretch the width here so we get some more space. And scroll down a bit more. Now, right after retail price, I want to do a subtotal. So I'm going to have to move the form footer down a bit to create some space. Now I want to add a calculated field in here. So I'm going to go up into this row of items here under Form Design Tools, choosing Design, and then I pick this here called the text box. And I'm going to click right here. So this is a blank text box. It needs some information. First of all, let's give it a title. So the label on this will be called the subtotal. So we'll know how much this person is going to have to pay for this item. Now this is a calculated field. All the other fields have a database field name in them. And this one says unbound. In other words, there's no information to be put into there. We're going to have to program this one. Over here on the right side, there's a section called Control Source. There are two ways to fill in the control source. One is you simply select a field name. It's not what we want. We want to go to the last item where there are 3 dots and click here. This is how we calculate a field. We're going to create an expression to create a calculated control. For example, we can add 2 fields together and check to see if one is less than 5. Something similar to that. So I'm going to start with an equal sign. And then from these expression categories in the list, I'm going to select the quantity. So I'm going to double click quantity. And you notice it adds brackets and says quantity. I'm going to press Shift 8 to get the multiply sign. I want to do quantity times the retail price. So double click on retail price. So the price times the quantity should give us the subtotal. It shows us here what we're calculating. Last thing is, let's go and check to see if it works. So let's go to Form View, and let's scroll over. The subtotal shows up here. So we can see that the amount that we're buying, 11 Xboxes, are worth $240 each, or $2,640. Let's format these numbers now so that they show currency. So let's go back into the Design view, click on this square, and let's go to where it says Format. The format is going to be currency. Let's try that again. Let's save it, open up this form, and now we can see the subtotal shows the money. Now the column headers are a little bit too wide in some places and too narrow in others, so we can adjust that as well. Let's go into the Layout view. We can make the columns narrower. So let's see how that looks now. So let's go to Form View, and now we can see a fairly decent layout. So let's try again. Let's go down to the very bottom where it says Records. Let's create a new record. Let's say we're going to purchase something tomorrow. Let's give it a customer name, Jim Smith. And now we're going to enter some things. He wants a CPU fan. He wants 10 of those. The calculation is automatically updated. So we'll have him buy Windows 10, just one copy. That's $120. So as we add new items, we find that as he purchases them, the subtotal is calculated. Okay, so now we have subtotals. It would be nice to have a single total at the bottom of the page, so that's what we'll do next.